All right, guys, here we go. Welcome in here, Slaughterhouse Sports, Kurt Magoosh, and today is it's Monday night basically, and early Tuesday, and what we're gonna do here, it's June 28th. We're gonna talk about a big time commitment to the University of Miami, and that's Jaden Rashada. I viewed this quarterback. And while I was viewing the quarterback, I'm just so impressed with the throws that Jaden Rashada can make, the way that he plays to position. I mean, this quarterback, he can win from the pocket. He has a very good arm, but he's just so accurate with the ball. And to me, I mean, it seemed like there might have been an NIL deal in the works for the University of Miami and Mario Cristobal. I mean, this is going to be the best quarterback he's gotten since Justin Herbert. And now Miami already has a good quarterback, and I believe Tyler Van Dyke, who might only be like a redshirt sophomore next year. So you're probably going to have 2 more years of Van Dyke at Miami. I think that Van Dyke, now it is a small sample size, but he played well last year. I mean, he went to Pittsburgh, he beat the ACC champions and had a great game at the University of Pittsburgh. So you have Van Dyke, you're recruiting good wide receivers, you got Nigel Pike in basketball. So you have really good NIL money coming in here because you have wealthy people in South Florida that care about the Hurricanes, and you have guys that are willing to put money into the NIL collective down there, okay? So the point is I'll tell you the point is with this recruiting of Rashada. I view Rashada as a top 3 pick, in the 26th draft when he comes out in 3 years. I have Malachi Nelson probably very high on that list, and then I view, there's several other good quarterbacks that could go in the first round. Rashada's 6'4", all right? He throws the ball. He honestly just throwing the deep ball. He's able to throw the deep ball with great accuracy, great distance control. Really smart kid, high football IQ, and he even seems like a better bet to be an NFL quarterback. I think I even have him, I think I was even more impressed with him than even Nico Yamayaya. Now, Nico's, taller, more athletic maybe. But I'm telling you, the explosive plays that are created at Pittsburgh with Jaden Rashada, this is a great get for Miami. And you look at Mario Cristobal, he's a wonderful recruiter, great recruiter, even at Oregon, just tremendous with Thibodeau, Justin Herbert. He was very successful, Pac-12 champions, Rose Bowl, wasn't able to get over the hump. And with Justin Herbert, he wasn't even unleashed in that offense. So coaching offensive football, Cristobal's an offensive line guy. He's going to run the ball. He's going to be very conservative. So now it is interesting. Cristobal hires Josh Gaddis, and Gaddis does have a great connection with Jaden Rashada. So the whole thing with Jim Harbaugh pretty much flirting with the Minnesota Vikings sent off this chain effect where now Michigan's in a tougher spot. Michigan has 2, younger, newer coordinators on each side of the ball. Trying to strike gold again. You struck gold with Mike Macdonald, and then Macdonald ended up leaving, so you lost your offensive and defensive coordinator. But then Gaddis goes to Miami, and now Josh Gaddis, I mean, if he has a huge year with Van Dyke and then Jaden Rashada, he's going to end up bouncing and getting a Power 5 job, and he's absolutely going to be making, $8 to $9 million. So if you're Mario Cristobal, you also got to be considering, okay, who's going to be next after Josh Gaddis balls out? Because Josh Gaddis, I mean, his name, he's going to be getting interviews for head coaching jobs. He's the next one. James Franklin, Nick Saban, 39 years old, offensive coordinator, playoff team, smart, trick plays, run and pass, mixes it together, great leader, all of that. So, but the point is that Cristobal made a great hire. Miami moved off of Manny Diaz, got Cristobal, and Mario's the guy for Miami. They're going to recruit at a great level. They're going to be consistent in the ACC. You look at who has a higher upside, who has more of a ceiling. Miami has the highest ceiling. It has more money into that program. I know the facilities, the stadium itself might not be as nice. They play in an NFL stadium. I wish they would open up their own stadium near Miami. The fan base of Florida State is better. I'd say to Miami does have great fans, but I would say that Tallahassee's more of a college town than the University of Miami. But here's the thing, too, and I'm sorry to get on Canes fans about that. It's kind of how I feel, because Miami's kind of a pro town. You got the heat. You got a lot of other things to do, but the attendance is getting better. I would say Florida State, other than Jimbo Fisher, they don't have a lot of money there, and they have a rich tradition. They're kind of like the University of Florida. And I'd say that for kids, Miami is just, more attractive to go to than even Tallahassee, even Gainesville, Florida. All right? For the majority of kids, it's not my personal opinion. So you look at Florida State, Bobby Bowden, all the success. Jimbo Fisher won a national championship. They expect Mike Norvell to take him somewhere. Norvell's on a hot seat. You lose Kenny Dillingham. I think Kenny Dillingham was a vital part of Mike Norvell. You promote Alex Atkins to offensive coordinator. Mike Norvell calls the offense anyway, but Kenny's an amazing recruiter. How good's that defense going to be? At Florida State, I don't know if you're going to light it up and have a great defense. You might, as crazy as it sounds, Florida State's just in a tough spot. Not a lot of money, high expectations to compete with Clemson, and Norvell's an all right coach, but you got Deion Sanders looming. You got Jackson State. And he is very popular. There's a major hot seat on Norvell now that he's without Dillingham. I don't know for Florida State. I think they've been recruiting at an all right level, but you're competing in the Sunshine State. It's a very, very tough job. You have Auburn, Georgia, schools in the SEC you got to compete against, and it's very tough. Everybody's going to Tampa to get kids now. Tampa is the hotbed. IMG, Orlando, that's a hotbed of recruiting. So it's a very tough job. High expectations, not a lot of money. Florida is the exact same thing. You're playing against Georgia. South Carolina and Shane Beamer is building an absolute empire. And by empire, I mean a team that could be second in the East and can win an SEC and can win a division championship and could possibly win in Atlanta. I think that within 5 years, I think the Gamecocks are going to be playing in Atlanta. I think that they're going to have a chance to win an SEC championship at least in 4 or 5 years. They're going to win one. That's how good Shane Beamer is at recruiting. That's how good Clayton White is. That's how good, Marcus Satterfield is with that offense. They get Spencer Rattler. Shane Beamer is he's perfect for South Carolina. And Columbia is a happening place. It's a really nice college town by people that I've known who's been there. And the place is they have good money there. It's proving to be stable with a stable athletic director in Ray Tanner. I think South Carolina has a real chance to be more consistent than Florida coming up. Now, long-term, Florida would still, the recruiting base, Florida's been historically much, much better than South Carolina. But I think that with NIL, I think that Florida's on a little bit of a hot seat. I don't really like Scott Strickland. He got the Frost thing wrong. He got Dan Mullen. That didn't work out. And it's disappointing because Dan Mullen could coach football, but with Dan Mullen in recruiting, his personality, he's high-strung. At Mississippi State, that was more home for Dan Mullen. All right. With Dan Mullen at Mississippi State, he won 8 and 9 games. They were allowed to be patient with Mullen. And Mullen formed the team that he wanted. And the Florida fans of recruiting are pretty, crazy. It's a hotbed. It's a fishbowl. Dan Mullen's not about that. He wants to get his guys and really develop. And he doesn't love this transfer portal. So I think that Dan Mullen's more of an NFL guy. And I'll tell you, with the fan base being almost like Auburn, really fanatical. I love fanatical fan bases and media, but it's very hard to win at the University of Florida. It's just really hard. You're still in the shadow of Urban Meyer. You've had a lot of dysfunctional coaches lately. Will Muschamp. You got an athletic director that just fired the head basketball coach in Mike White who just hired a new basketball coach, so your organization is not very stable. And let's look at Billy Napier. I've never really been the biggest fan of Napier, and I guess it's for reasons that might not be fair. So Billy Napier at Louisiana Lafayette, how do you judge coaches? Well, right now, the only thing we could judge about Napier, when you're making a prediction on a coach, unless you watch every single game and know the program inside and out, and did I know Louisiana football? I knew them a little bit. They ran like a running offense. Their quarterback was a mobile quarterback that was a little bit on the smaller side, but a lefty, very good, can win games. They ran a good program, okay? So there's some smaller school guys that I really like as football coaches. So Napier, yeah, he comes from Saban. He seems like he'd be a drill sergeant, seemed like he'd run a good program, but he's a very serious guy. And it's not fair. Everybody's going to have their biases. A lot of times I like the coach that's a little like Shane Beamer, maybe a little Scott Frost, a little rah-rah, the fan base gets excited. That's all you can do before the coach gets there, unless you watch them intricately. But you look at Louisiana, they were just more talented than other teams. Okay, they were made up of mostly portal guys, but how is Billy Napier going to recruit? And he's very high-strung, it seems like Will Muschamp. Very serious, very strict, already kicking guys off of the team. I think that at Florida, you got to have a really, really special guy to grow Florida. A guy that loves Florida. Dan Mullen seemed like he loved it. I think that, honestly, Chadwell, and you get that DC, you get Willie Corn, who's the OC, and then you get Chad Staggs as the DC, that place would pop. You talk about a guy who's Florida, who's the swamp. You talk about Chadwell. I know he grew up a Tennessee fan, but he has Myrtle Beach popping. He's a young coach. He connects with the players. The players have so much fun at Coastal Carolina. It was a different culture at Coastal than it was with Billy Napier. Napier's more serious, it seemed. Coastal is the most fun place to be on earth. So I really like Jamie Chadwell. I think he should get his opportunity. It's just, who do you like? So we're going to find out. So Napier, on the recruiting trail, he already released an apology letter, okay? Is Napier's personality, is it going to be functional with NIL, functional to compete? Is he going to build a staff? Because you look at Shane Beamer, and Shane Beamer, came from, was at Oklahoma, was at Georgia. His dad was a really solid coach for a while. But then through the press conferences, through everything, you're like, this guy is absolutely terrific. You look at Mel Tucker going to Michigan State. I was like, you know what, Mel Tucker, all right, defensive coordinator, didn't do that well at Colorado, had a shaky first year. Then you see the way with the transfer portal, you start digging into the interviews, and you're like, man, this guy's an old school football coach. This guy's perfect for Michigan State. He's perfect for Lansing. I really love Mel Tucker. So with Billy Napier, I was what was my honest opinion of it? Before he's played any games, I was lukewarm on it because he seems like a Joe Judge type of strict Saban kind of coach, very strict. And if you're going to be strict in this day and age, you got to be willing to recruit. And if you're going to be a strict kind of type A coach, you got to find a way to have that balance of having fun. Can Napier have enough fun at the University of Florida? Can he have fun? He's already off to a tough start, but he's going to have to be able to win. Anthony Richardson's going to prove to be very, very pivotal, and it's going to be interesting. And then how long is the leash with Scott Strickland? How much is Napier going to love the fishbowl of Florida? Is he going to embrace it? Brent Venables in Oklahoma, does he embrace the fishbowl? There's no doubt about it. Does Dabo do it? Ryan Day is really comfortable at Ohio State, has a really comfortable situation. So is Napier going to be able to really progress and really get to be in a comfortable place? You look at Todd Grantham and Dan Mullen, the defense was never up to standard at the University of Florida. They had Kyle Pitts, who was a generational player. You had a really good quarterback in Kyle Trask, and Dan Mullen never even gave Kyle Trask a chance, even though Kyle Trask in the spring game every year, I was saying, damn, this guy is so talented. He's 6'5". He was backing up De'Ara King in high school. So With Billy Napier and Norvell, I really doubt how it's going to work. I like Norvell probably more as a coach, a little more upbeat, was really good at Memphis. However, his offense is very simplistic. A lot of defenses are going to catch up to it with Florida State. Maybe Dillingham had more power to the punch. I mean, Dillingham's Ferdy, his personality, his work ethic is crazy. So Dan Lanning in Oregon, again, I'm much more, again, with Dan Lanning in Oregon, I think that's really going to be the mecca of college football. I've said that for a while. I think it's Ryan Day and Dan Lanning going to be running it. Dan Lanning's going to overtake it. But you really look at Mike Norvell, they make an internal hire of Alex Atkins. You have Deion Sanders that's already getting guys from Florida State. I don't know if Norvell is long for the job there. Decent guy, nice guy. I even think if he goes to Arizona State and is the head coach of Arizona State, that's more of a place that I think that Norvell can absolutely be more successful at than at Florida State. It's a very tough job. Florida itself, very tough job. Brian Harsin, Auburn, extremely tough. So some jobs are just really, really tough. The fan base, the expectations a little out of control as well. Ironically, Tennessee and Heupel didn't like the hire that much. The defense, obviously, I'm going to have a question mark. He is recruiting at a great level. So recruiting, it does translate to the field, but combined with expectations. But Miami right now, all right, their fan base, I believe, is easier to deal with because of distractions for a lot of guys. It's not fishbowl. And if you're going to live in a fishbowl, it's got to be a place that you absolutely love, like Scott Frost. It's got to be Brent Venables. You got to be home. Venables is home in the Midwest. He's from Salinas, Kansas. He is home in Norman. Scott Frost is a Lincoln. He was born in Wood River, Nebraska. Like, that's home. So if you are going to be in the fishbowl, it's got to be the perfect fit with the boosters, everybody pulling together in the right way. Napier, Norvell, it seems like the Sunshine State with how competitive recruiting is, NIL. It is a really tough time to be a head football coach right now with NIL and specifically in the state of Florida. So I view Napier as flaming out in a couple of years. I'll say that. If he gets it together, I'll be the first to say that I was kind of wrong on Billy Napier. I've been wrong several times. In hilarious ways. So I am no way proven perfectly right. I would say that I was really wrong with Chad Morris at Arkansas. I thought that was a nice hire. I was excited for, put the hammer down. And, Chad Morris was my biggest whiff. Willie Taggart, Florida State, dead wrong on that. Norvell, I really liked the hire at the time. Napier didn't like the hire, because I just think he's too serious. I just need to see like a little dynamic. I really need to see a lot of leadership from Billy Napier. I need to see the defense. I need to see explosive pass plays. So Napier deserves this opportunity. Louisiana was awesome at football. He deserves a chance at at SEC. I'm happy for Napier. If he proves me wrong, great. I'm sure Napier's a great guy. It's what do you think about Billy Napier, okay? And I'm giving you my honest opinion on Napier. Is he going to be a guy whose personality, and is he going to be a guy that leads Florida? Is he the guy for Florida? Mario Cristobal, Miami, think it's a really good hire. And I think that expectations there are much lower. You had a lot of rough years. Even Manny Diaz wasn't good. Golden wasn't good there. Mark Richt was just okay there, kind of. Nowhere near where he was at Georgia. I think Cristobal is awesome for Miami, so it's a great fit. Even though who's a better coach, Lanning or Cristobal, I'd say Lanning. Recruiting better, defense much better, schemes better. But in terms of recruiting, Cristobal's solid. The offense isn't that dynamic. It wasn't with Herbert, the passing game. But now you get Josh Gaddis, so maybe it'll change a little bit with Cristobal. But the recruiting's just going to be off the charts. Miami's a fun place. Cristobal is perfect for that. And Cristobal, he has more pizzazz and he has more swag than I believe Napier and also Norvell has. Norvell at Florida State went 0-4 to start the year. They finished the year much better, Jordan Travis. But Kenny Dillingham and Norvell were really a team. And Kenny Dillingham is almost like the son of Norvell. And him going out to Oregon, I think, is a huge loss. Even though Norvell has a lot of influence in the offense. And Alex Atkins, offensive line coach, we're really going to see how him and Norvell, how this thing rolls. All right? But it's a very tough job anyway. I think the defensive coordinator is pretty good at Florida State. I don't think Fuller, I believe that's his name, is bad. But is he going to be really, really good? And, again, that fan base is a fishbowl. That fan base is very intense. So this whole process of Florida with college football, I mean, it's really fun to talk about. I think Miami and Cristobal, I think that this thing is now going to go really well. Napier, I'm not high on, and especially with the way that things have been going. What has been an example of something I got wrong? I maybe thought Ryan Day would not be as good as he's been. All right, so that might be in terms of the other head coaching hires. Who were the other? Brent Venables, Oklahoma, home run hire, like A+ hire. Who were the other? So Lincoln Riley, SC, that's gonna end up being a really good hire. So I guess it's like the common threads of people. Usually, am I in favor of the coaching hires? A lot of times, probably, and usually they are hot names who've been doing really well. I'd say Shane Beamer, I wasn't that high on. I mean, I wanted Jamie Chadwell again, like Chadwell, Willie Korn, South Carolina. Like, Chadwell's kind of been like the guy. Like Will Healy, I would say. I love that style of coach. The fun, leadership, crazy, rah-rah, great leader coaches. Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame, like stud coach, great recruiter. Even out of Cincinnati, I was telling, one of my good friends that I always talk college football with, you're going to have a couple people in your life. I'm up here in the Northeast outside of Philly. So you're going to have only a few friends that maybe know real deep stuff about college football. But I said, with Notre Dame, I said, wow, Marcus Freeman not going to LSU, but this guy's under Luke Fickell. He's an absolute rock star. He's been a rock star for a while. Him and Tommy Rees together. Boy, oh boy. And then Joey Mack. I mean, Joey Mack's a new guy. They got rid of Wells, which I wanted them to do. Bryles would have been absolutely electric for college football fans. I mean, yeah, you could talk about, all the controversy with Art, which everybody knows, but then you get Joey McGuire. McGuire's just drilling it in he's having a great tenure. Cumbie versus Will Hall. So there's a lot of stuff. But in this episode, we talked about Rashada. We talked about basically how, I guess that I'm really worried about Napier. I think it's a big deal that he's not off to a great start recruiting. I wonder about his leadership. How great is he a fit at the University of Florida? Scott Strickland, hot seat for sure. Dan Mullen didn't work out. And I guess you can argue, well, Chip and Frost haven't been great either. All right. But gosh, I still do like Scott Frost. Guess never going to quit Scott Frost. Love the guy and hasn't won yet, but Huskers, man, they're going to be fun now. Mickey and Mark Whipple there. All right. I think it's going to change. But that's that. That is Kurt Magoosh, Slaughterhouse Sports. That's our, kind of this episode. You see my face this episode. A lot of times it's, getting back to recruiting now in the summer. We got a lot of South Carolina, a lot of Oregon to cover, a lot of recruits rolling in now in June. And then by the time we get to August, really in the middle of August, we are going to dive into college football. It'll be less recruiting. It'll be more so doing videos like this, seeing you guys, and really talking about actual college football games. And during the season, I mean, guys, we are going to have a lot of fun here. I really do believe it. Thank you guys for watching.